Hello and welcome to the Game Theory Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Vecenie. Today, Bryce Simon joins me, and we are going to dive deep into the best moves of the 2024 NBA offseason. But first, we're going to do a quick little NBA standings check-in, as well as a just little minor thing on the Defensive Player of the Year award to start. But first, let's hit the music.
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Way downtown.
Bang! Bang! What's this gonna be? Wow! Are you kidding me?
Hello and welcome to the Game Theory Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Vecenie. But if you watch the tape, what you will see completely orchestrated this game. What's going on, Bryce?
What's up, Sam? How are you? Last night, I made like a 50-50 commitment. I don't know if that sounds like it's not a real thing. You can't make a 50-50 commitment, but that's what I'm going with. To my wife to go to a movie in theaters, potentially here in the month of April. Yes, very big surprise. Very big 50-50 commitment for me. I'm curious if you can guess the movie that is hitting movie theaters in America in the month of April that I would be excited enough about to make this 50-50 commitment to my wife to go see. And for those listening that don't know, I absolutely hate movie theaters. I don't like them. I haven't been to one in a very long time. I'm curious.
I think theater is like the only word I think I've ever heard you say where you say it with like, you know, the uppity, like, oh, I'm going to the theater. Like that. You know, like this is not Kansas. This is not Kansas, Bryce. This is upper English crust, Bryce. I have to go to the theater.
It's funny. Something happened the other day where I said a word and I couldn't even say it correctly. My students and the other adult that was in the classroom at the time were clowning me. And then the math teacher asked me if I say data or data. And I was like, I say data because it just sounds cooler. And so I just, through this podcast, I've realized how many little quirks I have with words I say that I've just say because that's how I want to say them. But
do I say data? I think I say data. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
But regardless, movie that is coming out.
So I can read off. I have a list here.
Yeah.
So you don't. Minecraft, The Amateur, Warfare, Drop, The King of Kings, Sinners, Star Wars, The Accountant 2, Screamboat, The Friend, Luckiest Man in America, The Grove. Like, I'm just reading stuff now.
I hope it's either The Amateur or The Accountant 2, both of which look delightful.
It is The Accountant 2. I love The Accountant. We watched it again the other day. And then, of course, because Facebook algorithms, it's just like popping up on my Facebook feed now over and over the trailer, and I'm all in. I had forgotten how much I loved the first one, The Accountant. So I'm all about it. I looked at Rainey and I said, I might actually take you to this in movie theaters. Don't hold me to it yet, but I'll consider it. So
you should. The Accountant 2 is something I will go see in theaters. I actually don't know if I will convince Laura to go see The Accountant 2 with me. Like that might be a Sam goes to the theater to see The Accountant 2 and has like a dude day where it's like literally just by myself in the theaters. Like it's supposed to be watching Ben Affleck and John Bernthal just have a great time. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'll convince her. I don't know if I think Laura has seen The Accountant. By the way, The Accountant, great plane movie. Like I have to get on a plane here for 16 hours on Tuesday. Real chance The Accountant gets queued up, like very real chance.
Love it. No, it was good. I liked it the first time. I hadn't watched it in a little while. We turned it on the other night and we just have it saved to the DVR. And it reminded me how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's start here. I want to start with like Defensive Player of the Year because I Nate didn't even bait me. Like I baited myself here. I did this to myself. Right. Nate Duncan tweeted, like, I see the Draymond Green Defensive Player of the Year media blitz is starting. The content's interesting. I'll consume it, but sorry, he's not close to Defensive Player of the Year this year. It's not a career achievement award. He should have won it in 23, in my opinion, but the brand was bad that year. I can't remember who I had that year, but there's a decent chance I had Draymond that year too. I was a big fan of him defensively that season. And I just said, like, I agree with Nate. Like, he's had an amazing close of the year and he's turned it up late. But it's a full season award. And if the media just like kind of auto votes for him because he's like says he's deserving, then like we might need to do some triage on like who votes for this award. And like that's probably me just being too aggressive on it. But you know, whatever. So like real quick here on where we stand with defensive player of the year, like 2 weeks out, right? I think that I followed up and said, like, I think there are 5 or 6 guys that I would have ahead of Draymond. I think there are not 5. And I think where I fell after like doing like more research, even than I have like throughout the year with us doing all of the awards podcasts and like being very, very heavily engaged in this. I think where I fell is that he would be first team all defense for me, which I guess inherently does put him in the conversation. But it's hard because like I thought Dre was amazing for the first 15 games defensively. I thought that I think honestly, since they've gotten Jimmy Butler and since they have like basically since the All-Star break, like really played effective basketball, I think he's been the best defensive player in the league since then. Honestly, I don't even know that it's been all that close. So that's going to end up being like a half season where I think he was clearly the best defensive player in the year, like in the season, basically. But the other half of the year, like, was not great. Basically, that middle half of the year, I didn't find to be particularly great. And that's kind of like, I think that where I fell after talking to somebody that works for a team was I think I probably care a little bit more about like year-long consistency for this award than maybe other people do. Again, like I think Draymond at his peak this year has actually probably been better than any defender, like at his peak, right? Draymond, the last like 20 games or whatever, has been fucking incredible on defense. You're not going to hear an argument from me necessarily. The way that he quarterbacks the defense, the way that he like is able to like filter certain guys into certain areas. I think that, you know, their defense, I think their turnovers are down, if I remember correctly recently, but they've just done this amazing job of actually being able to filter guys into the spots that they want defensively, in part through his ability to quarterback everything on the back line, right? But the thing is that I really just thought that middle portion of the season, like I didn't think the intensity was quite as strong from him. He missed like a substantial portion of games in the middle portion of that season. And even still, like I have him as a top 5 defender in the league, I think is where I fell on it. I like, you know, maybe you can talk about some of the other candidates, but where are you at on Draymond this year defensively? Because I do notice the media push and I found it like very weird that it was happening. And maybe it is purely just because it's happening at the right time where he has been the best defender in the league for the last like 15 to 20 games.
Yeah, I mean, defensive player of the year is interesting because I think there can be a little bit of pushing a certain narrative, or when a name gets out there, then all of a sudden that name can really gain traction. And Draymond, I don't blame him for pushing himself. Like, I'm actually cool with it. Like, go out and, you know, push your name and try to get this. But I feel like defensive player of the year specifically, some of those really do become a narrative, and Draymond's playing the game well right now. There was a point, I think it was early, I think it was one of our first ones, I had him first team. And then I know that our most recent one, we didn't even have him, Sam. Like right now, as we said, he's not eligible. And so like, that's another thing to take into account
so
here.
That is, but for what it's worth, like that is why we didn't have him last time.
Correct.
Is that he literally was unable, I think, to miss another game throughout the rest of the year. So we figured that he would not get eligible by the end of it.
He's at 61 as we record with 2 games under 20 minutes. I don't know how the league will handle the 19 whatever minute game if it really came down to. I'm assuming he will hit it at this point. And I don't think there's any question that Draymond is an all defense player. I think what Wemby going out made this a really fun conversation. But now I'm fascinated on how people are doing things. I mentioned to you beforehand that I'm okay when people want to throw Dyson Daniels' name into the equation. What I don't love is when people only reference his steal numbers. I'm like, 10 years ago, people were screaming, defense is more than steals. Defense is more than steals. You can't just use steals and blocks for a defensive player of the year or all defense nomination. And now we're like, he's having a historical defensive disruption season.
Yeah.
My thing is, though, like, I watched Dyson Daniels and, like, I don't think he's as good at the point of attack as, say, Lou Dort. Like, if you told me you got to get one stop on a perimeter player,
yeah,
I think Lou Dort is just going to guard that dude better than Dyson Daniels.
So yeah, that's an interesting question, right? So I agree with you that I think Lou Dort is a better one-on-one defender than Dyson Daniels. Like, I don't even know that it's all that debatable, just to be real with it. But is the difference so great that it makes up for the difference that Dyson cultivates with his steals transitioning defense to offense?
No, and that is where, like, I don't want to discount his disruption because I do find it very important. And this is something I've had to adjust just as somebody covering the NBA, because it wasn't like when I was a coach, this wasn't what I prioritized. It wasn't what I valued. Whenever, like, I coached my defenses, my players, we built a philosophy. It was just guard the heck out of the other team, right? It wasn't predicated on steals or blocks or anything like that. The NBA is in a lot of ways. Can you disrupt the other team? My counter would be, I watched Lou Dort completely eliminate possessions without a steal or a block or even a deflection. When he blows up a DHO and then denies the guy ever touching the ball, to me, that is a sense of disruption as well. It just doesn't get calculated in the stats. And that's why, like, I just want us to have nuanced conversations with it. I don't care where people land. I just don't want people to only throw Dyson's, hey, he historic steal number. Well, give me some more substance to it whenever you're making the pitch for Dyson other than just steals per game. That's all I'm saying. And for what it's worth, Dyson is right there as a first-team all-defensive guy for me as it stands right now. So I'm not trying to demean him at all. We're about to give him a ton of love on this episode.
On this show, for sure,
Yes.
Like, and like, here's the thing, too. Like, Jaren Jackson, right? So Jaren Jackson was great, I would argue, for the first 55 games of the year, the first 2/3 of the year defensively, let's say, right? Since he got hurt, and like a little bit before he got hurt, I actually, like, really since like Brandon Clark got hurt, let's say, their defense has not been very good. I think he's been slightly worse in that time as well, as he's coming back from the ankle injury. Is the fact that he was better than Draymond for, I don't know, at least half the year, he was better than Draymond defensively. I think Draymond, again, was better at the front defensively. I think Draymond has been better over the last 20 games or so defensively. How do we kind of like filter those things? Right? How do we change that? I think where I'm at is I actually would have Draymond ahead of Jaren right now for defensive player of the year and for all defense, because again, like the first 15 games and what will be like the final 25 games of the year for Draymond, I think he's just been the best defensive player in the league, like point blank. And I think it was more like arguable otherwise, right? For Jaren. But I don't know, like it's a little bit tricky to me trying to figure this out. And oh, by the way, like, here's the thing. We're missing guys. And this is the other thing with Dort that makes the conversation hard with Dort, right? I would argue he's their third most effective defender, like behind Hartenstein and Chet. And that's not disrespect to Lou Dort. Lou Dort's phenomenal on defense. He is great, but the ground that Chet covers in his anticipation is like truly elite. And Hartenstein is just like an absolute like monster on the interior. Like, you can't score around him. And it's why, frankly, like the guy that we need to have a conversation about is Zubats as well. Zubats has been absolutely great on defense this year. So like, how do we kind of give the defensive player of the year award to the guy that I think is the third best defender on that team? Does it matter? Like, is it just that the
I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair. I'm not like, here's the thing, because we're going to name.
You might be able to make the case that the 3 best defenders in the league this year have been on Oklahoma City.
Well,
Like, I'm actually okay with that if you want to say that, given that Wemby's out and everything.
We're about to give second team All NBA to a lot of dudes who we wouldn't say are top 10 players in the league if every single player in the league was healthy. So, I mean, that's my thing. I heard somebody making the argument. It may have been the front office show. Like, every season is its own thing, and we have to vote and make decisions based on that. It does not matter, any of it. None of it. Like, who's eligible, who had the best seasons. That's what we have to go with. I've been thinking about this as well. I think, listen, I will not sit here and in good faith make an argument that a perimeter defender is more important than a big man defender. I think that would be irrational on my part. I do wonder, and I'm interested to get your thoughts, have we started to undervalue those perimeter defenders, though, in terms of like Lou Dort? Think about the matchups. I understand a big man defender covers ground, all of these things, but think about some of the best players in the league. A lot of them are perimeter oriented. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Mm-hmm. Lou Dort is taking that matchup every night. Toumani Camara is taking that matchup every night. I'm not going to make the case for Chris Dunn over. I can make
a different case here too, as well. By the way, think about what's the most important shot to stop in the NBA right now. It's the 3-pointer to me, and having versatile having versatile defenders that can actually close out and stop penetration, but also close out against 3-point shooters, to me is probably like the most important thing you can do, like scrambling around and being able to like slow things down like that, and also stop like guys from getting that initial paint touch that collapses the defense and then lets you spray the ball out. So like, I actually do think there's a real case that like perimeter defense is, if not more important, then certainly just as important now as rim protection. I think that margin in terms of rim protection has certainly, it's been minimized by the 3-point shot recently.
So that's my thing is I don't want to like go too far with it, but I sometimes people are like, well, why don't you have more bigs on your list? And I'm like, because I value perimeter players and the matchups they take. There's just a couple things that I feel like we've swung too far the other way. The other one, this doesn't have to do with defense, I just want to mention real quick, is I think we sometimes undervalue the load that a team's offensive initiator, like primary guy, is taking, and like what that means to be the focal point of the scouting report and the offense at all times. And we almost like overlook that, and we go to the second guy on the team and we start giving them all the credit. It's like, no. Don't forget the what that person is carrying by carrying the load offensively.
Donovan Mitchell versus Darius Garland thing. Like, Donovan gets the toughest defender every single night.
And it came today I really started thinking about it because it became Donovan versus Mobley. Like, I saw somebody had Mobley over Mitchell and all NBA stuff. And I'm like, okay, I understand we want to value defense. I understand Mobley's improved a lot, but let's not forget how important the engine of the offense is and how much energy that takes to be that guy. And so then it made me think about defense. Okay, are we just defaulting to big guys and their impact, and are we not giving enough credit to the Lou Dorts, to the Dyson Daniels doing it in a different way, to the Amin Thompsons, to Monty Kamara's? This, for me, is the Chris Dunn versus Zubats, and I think you're right, it probably is still Zubats, but Chris Dunn's taking the perimeter matchup for that team. I would still agree with you that Zubac should be the representative. Is Dunn even eligible? I think he is.
No, he's not. No, Dunn is not eligible because he doesn't play. Like, and this is where like the awards thing is gonna.
It's the Isaiah Stewart. It's the Isaiah Stewart one as well. We'd at least be talking about Stu as maybe in the conversation for second team. I don't know if he'd make it or not, but he'd be in the conversation. But he's not even close because he has so many non-20-minute games played.
Yeah, Chris Dunn would be a no-brainer all defense guy this year. Like, it wouldn't even be a conversation. It would be like certainty. This guy should be an all defense guy this year. He has played 1,667 minutes. Draymond Green has played 1,770.
That's the same as Draymond almost. How is
it's 100 minutes fewer, and he's still not eligible. We need to adjust the rule for all defense and defensive player of the year, or for these awards, basically, to say if you play over 1,500 minutes, or if you play over maybe it's 1,700 minutes. I don't know what the barrier is, but it needs to be like a minute number to me where like again, like this would not even be a conversation. Chris Dunn would be undeniably on an all defense team. And he just is not going to be eligible because he's played, I'll look it up while we're talking. I would guess that he has played something like 50 games, over 20 minutes per game this year. And it's because like he expends so much goddamn energy on defense that like it just takes a lot out of him. So this season, Chris Dunn has played 48 games, 20 minutes or more on defense. Like it's a little bit baffling to me that the NBA like didn't think about this a little bit more.
I'll be honest, I've seen 4 or 5 just go scrolling through the game log as we talk. I've seen 5 or 6. Probably 7 or 8 at this point. 19-minute games.
Oh no, like, I'll tell you, he's played 63
yeah.
games, 18 minutes or more.
Yeah.
And we're not letting this guy be eligible for all defense. Like it's just the dumbest thing I've seen. Like truly, like I actually really hope that the NBA, if I was the NBA, what I think would be fair is for them to like actually tell voters that go through this. And again, I don't have a vote this year. Like, I think they should say, hey guys, Chris Dunn is eligible for Defensive Player of the Year because he played at least 18 minutes a night in over 65 games, right? Like that would be fair to me, I think. Like it's like totally in conjunction with the player participation policy.
Yeah. And I want to say just like let the voter discretion decide, but I don't know how much I trust that sometimes either because
I definitely don't trust that.
Because Bontem's straw poll on the MVP thing like blew my mind the other day that how many ballots Giannis and Tatum weren't on for MVP. I was just like
at all?
Multiple ballots, one or the other were not on.
Yeah, it's insane. That's totally crazy.
Jokic and SGA at least were on all 100, but I think Giannis wasn't on 5 and Tatum wasn't on 3 or something like that. And I'm just like,
whatever. Like, yeah, that's stupid. But
and I know those aren't like the actual voters, but I'm just like, how it just
Tim tends to get the actual voters for what it's worth.
No, and that's what, and it's usually really close. I'm just like, okay, you don't think there's one of them's 3, cool. You don't even think they're 4, like I would disagree, but okay. With how up in the air spot 5 is, how are both of those guys not at least number 5 when everybody's scrambling to find number 5, right? Like that's what, like the drop off was ridiculous. I think Donovan Mitchell was 5th and he had like 14 total points or something just because, again, it's Donovan Mitchell or whoever. So anyway, it just, I don't know. It's interesting. I do think it's made the Defensive Player of the Year conversation a lot of fun. Unfortunately, again, hopefully Wembanyama is like recovering well and going to be back and all of that. But him not being here has really made this conversation crazy, right? Because there's a lot of different avenues you can go with guys with different levels of arguments and nuance as well.
No, it genuinely has. Like it has made it like very, very interesting. At the very least. Where I sit right now, I would have Mobley at 1. We'll do awards next week, I think is when we have them scheduled, right?
Yeah, something like that. You put it on the calendar.
Next week or maybe the week after. I can't remember which one.
I feel like it's not this coming Sunday, it's the Sunday after, because then there was only going to be like 2 more games or something like that, I believe.
That's right. Because I actually have to think about that a little bit more because the Pirates play in Cincinnati on that Sunday. And I could want to go see the legend Paul Skeens. I think he's slated for that game, but we'll see. I would have Mobley, I think, first right now. I would have him, I think Amen Thompson is very serious. That dude is a joke on defense. He flies around everywhere. I would very clearly have him in the top 5. I think I still would have Dyson there. Dyson has been unbelievable
Sure.
like on defense. Like the ability, I understand the one-on-one stuff is not as good, and it's just not as good as Lu Dort, right?
Correct.
But like the ability to transition defense to offense and create extra possessions is just like massive for his
I
team.
agree. I 100 because it creates extra possessions. It's just like, these guys we give love for all their offensive rebounds or whatever. Like it's the same idea, and it usually generates a good look. Like I feel like he creates.
Yeah.
I wonder how many live ball steals he has. Well, I guess they all have to be live ball if they're still like it's not generating turnovers. A steal is a live ball. I guess what I was wondering is like how many went
like how many
directly-
direct buckets does he score off
into
of his steals?
transition, like how many like not a steal on the baseline where then they hold it and then whatever, how many are going straight into transition that creates a bucket within the first the next 8 seconds or something like that. I'm sure that data is out there somewhere, but that's truly impactful. Like that stuff really, to me, that matters more than just the straight steal numbers. It's how
I
he's
agree.
generating offense for his team.
Yeah, totally agree. Zubats would be in this mix for me. Draymond is like certainly in the mix, I guess, for me. The more I've thought about it, like it is hard for me to get past Mobley is kind of where I'm at. Like that's my issue. It is genuinely hard for me to get past Evan Mobley right now. I know that Mobley like has his issues like sometimes with on ball, like high level, like shifty guards, but he's also 7 foot. He's a genuine rim protector. He covers the ground everywhere.
Please don't send me the James Harden clip anymore. Like that drives me crazy. We're going to use this was the thing that really made me mad about this conversation, Sam. You bring up Evan Mobley and people show the James Harden clip. I'm like, it's one possession out of thousands this year. And James Harden is really good, Sam. Like he is really good at basketball. Don't just show me one possession of Evan Mobley losing to James Harden and tell me he doesn't deserve Defensive Player of the Year because of that. Like can we please not do that is what I would ask. Like people can fan. And if you don't think Mobley's DPOY, cool. But don't be because of one singular clip where Harden got him on a crossover and a bucket. I don't think that's fair to any one of these players to do something like that. That does drive me a little bit crazy.
Yeah, like NBA players get beat all the time.
All the time.
Do you know why? Because NBA offensive players are really fucking good. It's
like when my dad tries, they don't play defense. Dad, you know how good the offense is? That floor is really spaced and they're really athletic and they're really talented. They're trying to play defense. It's just really, really, really hard.
It is genuinely like impossible to play NBA defense. Like it's so hard. Okay. We got to hit an ad real quick before we move to NBA standings. Shout out to our good friends over at PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money, sports action with over 10 million members and billions in awarded winnings. PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. On PrizePicks, you can mix and match player projections from different sports. You can combine your favorite basketball players with players from baseball, hockey, esports, and so much more. While we're here, we're absolutely going to take a look here at the Final Four. And we're going to find what our favorite numbers are for the Final Four. Cooper Flagg's over-under, more or less, is 19 points. We're definitely taking more than 19 points in the Final Four for Cooper Flagg. Walter Clayton's 21. I don't know how great I feel about that. Tyrese Proctor's 17.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Interesting. Con Knipple, though, is only 11.5 points. We're definitely going to take more than 11.5 for Con. Malawach is 9 points. That feels aggressive against Houston to me personally. I don't know. Maybe we just do the Cooper and Con duo where it's over 19 or more than 19 for Cooper, more than an 11.5 number for Con. It pays 2.25x what you put in. I think that's what we do for the Final Four here. Cooper and Con. That's what we ride. We ride with the guys that we think are going to be top 5, top 7 picks in the NBA draft. So we love PrizePicks here at Game Theory because of how easy they make it to get real money sports action. with the second half of basketball season here, the Final Four this weekend, Prize Picks is the best place to cash in on your favorite sports. Don't miss your chance to cash in as the league's best here. Fight for playoff positioning down the stretch in the NBA. Download the app today. Use the code GAMETHEORY to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use the code GAMETHEORY to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Man, Cooper and Khan, that's a good spot. Over 19. We've got to get Cooper in the 20s, and we got to get Khan over 11.5.
I think I like Khan's even more than Cooper's, to be honest.
I think I do too.
That's seems like something he could hit pretty solid.
I agree. Second sponsor today. Shout out to the folks at NUTRAFOL. This year, nothing's holding you back from loving your hair again. Hair is so much more than what you see on the surface. It's a reflection of what's happening inside. Let NUTRAFOL target the key root causes of your thinning hair and help you grow stronger, healthier strands from within. NUTRAFOL is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. See thicker, stronger, faster growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months. With NUTRAFOL. Thinning hair is different for everybody, so a one-size-fits-all approach to hair growth doesn't cut it. NUTRAFOL has multiple formulas for men, for women, and they are tailored to different life stages and lifestyle factors, so you can get what you need. Start your hair growth journey with NUTRAFOL. For a limited time, NUTRAFOL's offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to NUTRAFOL.com and enter that promo code GAMETHEORY. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommended NUTRAFOL for healthier hair. NUTRAFOL.com, spelled NUTRAFOL.com. Promo code Game Theory. That's NUTRAFOL.com. Promo code Game Theory. Okay. I wanted to get in just like a quick little standings check-in with 2 weeks left in the year, because honestly, what made me decide to do this, Bryce, is something that impacts your life.
Okay.
The Pistons have passed the Milwaukee Bucks in the standings as of the time that we are recording this. Milwaukee is currently playing Philadelphia right now. If they win, they will tie Detroit in this game. And let's just be honest, we're expecting them to win this game, right? But this race for the 5 seed is now like a genuine, real thing. And that's kind of what made me want to dive in here and talk about the standings with 2 weeks left. So Cleveland is the #1 seed. There are 6 games left in the year for both them and Boston. They are 5 games up on Boston. It would take like an absolute catastrophe for Cleveland not to be the #1 seed. Boston is locked in to either the 1 or the 2 seed. It will likely be the 2 seed. The Knicks and Pacers have closed to within 3 now, but it is 3 within, 6 games left for each of these teams. I would guess the Knicks will be pretty solidly in that 3 seed.
Yeah.
The Knicks left have the Hawks, Suns, Boston, Detroit, Cleveland, Brooklyn. I think I actually would strongly recommend they win that game against the Hawks. And by the way, the Knicks have struggled at times with the Hawks this year. That has been a thing that we've talked about previously on the show. They should be able to take care of Phoenix. They should be able to take care of Brooklyn, but that Boston at Detroit, Cleveland, little trio there in the middle could at least get a little bit hairy. I would guess that they're the 3 seed. I'm just saying that, it's not 1,000% set in stone yet.
Sure. And Indiana's playing well.
Indiana's playing great basketball right now. They are 3 games clear of Detroit, and they are 3 games behind the Knicks. I would guess that the Pacers are going to be the 4 seed right now.
I would agree.
The one that's interesting to me, so the Bucks are currently 5 games up on the Magic. The Pistons are 5.5 games up on the Magic. The Magic only have 5 games left in the year, so that is essentially done. Our top 6 in the East is basically set. But the 5-6 is interesting. The Pistons remaining have at Toronto, home against Memphis, home against Sacramento, home against New York. And then, Bryce, do you know what the final 2 games of the year are?
I do know the final two games of the year against the Milwaukee Bucks, both games.
It's a home and home against the Bucks. I mean, that's about as fun as you can get late in the year for something like this. Like, if Detroit takes care of business and like really, runs the table and, does what they're supposed to do, the Bucks have this Philly game that they're playing currently, Miami, New Orleans, both on the road. I think they probably, I don't know. The Bucks are playing like very bad basketball right now. They did just beat Phoenix on Tuesday, but prior to that, they had lost to Atlanta, New York, Denver, and Phoenix actually in their previous 4 games. New Orleans, they will beat, but then they have home against Minnesota and then home against New Orleans. The schedules feel relatively close to me to where I'm open to like a conversation about where you think the Pistons end up landing. Do you think it's the 5 or 6? And if you are the Pistons, do you prefer playing the Pacers or the Knicks?
So I actually think they probably end up to 6, just because I'm a little nervous how much we're going to see Tobias Harris the next 6 games. And I'm a little nervous when we see Cade Cunningham back on the floor. Cade's missed, I don't know, we're going on 5 games straight now with a calf. He's listed as questionable for Friday. I assume he's not playing that game. Tobias came back, played against OKC on Wednesday, but left with the Achilles and is already ruled out for the game on Friday. I hope all of this is just precaution for a team who feels pretty comfortable with where they're at in terms of being not in the play-in, but in the playoffs, and not that worried about whether they end up the 5 or the 6. It sounds crazy. I actually would prefer New York just because I want the stage for the Pistons. They did go 2-1 against the Knicks. They went 1-3 against the Pacers. And I just think the Pacers really would take that series. There's been a lot of chippiness between those two teams.
Yeah.
I could see them surprising the Knicks a little bit. I don't think they would win either series, to be honest with you. But I don't think they would like surprise the Pacers and steal a game or two before they were ready to go, where I think maybe they could go into Madison Square Garden and steal a game 1 because Brunson's just getting back. New York overlooks it a little bit. And Cade's been good against the Knicks, but I don't know. I don't think either one. Talking to Knicks people, I feel like they've been more nervous about the Pistons. It's been a weird stretch for Detroit, though, Sam. They've fallen off just a touch because of this injury stuff and then the suspensions. And, like, that's another thing. Like, Stu's not going to be there again on Friday because he got a 2-game suspension from the thing against Minnesota. So the vibes are not bad, but just a little bit different right now for Detroit.
They're funky. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been so good all year. It's still good. It's going to be a successful season regardless. I would like to see I'd like to see them healthy and those really good flow chemistry vibes before the end of the regular season.
I would prefer, if I'm a fan, like wanting to see this, I think I would prefer to see the Pistons play the Knicks, because I would like to see Asar on Brunson.
Yes.
For like a full series.
Yes.
And I just want to see Cade on that stage.
Yes.
Genuinely. Like, I'm not saying this is like a person that covers the NBA or whatever. I'm saying purely like as a fan of like what I want to see. I think that would be really, really fun. And like Halliburton has been amazing recently, and Halliburton deserves that stage just as much as Cade. And, the Pacers have been better, and I'm not, saying anything otherwise. Right. And like the Pacers are not gonna be able to play the Knicks anyway in the first round, right? Like they're either going to be the 3 or the 4. But I don't know. I don't know. There's something about me wanting to see Cade against the Knicks in MSG on that stage. I think that would be really fun.
I've just said, like, as someone who covers the Pistons, that's what I want to see from them because of the stage going into Madison Square Garden. To your point, seeing what Asar can do against Jalen Brunson. If a type of defender is going to give Brunson trouble, it would be this long, super athletic Asar Thompson type of defender. Asar has also had foul trouble issues. So can he stay out of foul trouble guarding Jalen Brunson, who can draw fouls? The other one is Jalen Duren and stretch bigs. I mean, this is the nice thing for Detroit. They're going to play a stretch big in the first round no matter what, whether it's Miles Turner or it's Karl-Anthony Towns. I think there's a very, very long outside chance it could be Bucks. I don't even know how that would get to there. But anyway, he's going to play one of those two teams, and we're going to find out, can Jalen Duren do that for a series? From a Knicks perspective, I want to see who they put on Cade, and can that person be effective? Because I have notes on the Substack that Mikal Bridges could not guard Cade Cunningham in a game where they tried. If I'm Tom Thibodeau, I'm putting OG on Cade and letting
Could not
him
agree more.
could just let him be physical and try to beat him up and just wear him down. And then if I'm the Knicks, I run a ball screen to get Cade on Brunson every single possession and try to attack him that way. Not because Cade's a bad defender, but just trying to wear him down. But from a Knicks perspective, can OG be that stopper of quite honestly, an all-NBA player this year in Cade Cunningham, who's had a tremendous season? I think that would be a great test as well. And, can Cat keep Duren off the boards and Stu off the boards and all of that stuff? So I think it would be a good challenge for the Knicks in a first-round series. Not that the Bucks wouldn't. Like, Giannis obviously is going to challenge you. I think it would be a lot of fun, though.
Yeah, I agree. Play-in tournament here is set basically with these four teams being Orlando, Atlanta, Miami, Chicago.
Yep.
No certainty yet in terms of where, those four teams will settle. Orlando is 7th right now, 37-40. The Atlanta Hawks right now are 8th, 36-40. The Miami Heat are 9th, 35-41. The Chicago Bulls are 10th, 34-42. I would guess, look, Chicago's playing great. I think I feel good about Chicago landing in the bottom game, like the 9-10 game. And I think I feel good about Orlando being in the 7-8 game. Beyond that, I'm not totally sure.
Miami's won 6 in a row after what I believe was a pretty significant losing streak. I think the winning streak started against Detroit, if I'm not mistaken. No, it was before that. I guess the losing streak kept going with Detroit. So they lost 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 in a row or something. Now they've rattled off 6 wins in a row, and they're playing Memphis right now on national TV. So that Miami team is interesting. Like, those teams are interesting to me in terms of, like, the Heat have a really good defender in Bam Adebayo. You have Andrew Wiggins, and then you have Tyler Hero, right? Who's had a sneaky, really nice season. And then the Hawks, we've talked about it with Trae Young and their wings, Dyson Daniels, Orlando getting a little bit healthier. They have their 2 best players at the very least. I don't think any of those teams challenged Cleveland or Boston in terms of really upsetting them, but it would be fun. I want to see Orlando get in just because I want to see what Franz and Paolo look like in a series. I'm fascinated to see that, even though they won't have, Suggs isn't there to play with them.
Yeah. Yeah. I would like to see Orlando in, but I would very much, I don't know how excited I would be about watching those games either, because Orlando's offense right now is like a total mess and really hard to watch, in all honesty. Just really, really hard to watch them. Yeah. The scheme is very vanilla and drives me a little bit crazy right now. Let's go to the West.
Yep.
My God. Oklahoma City is locked in at 1. That's been the case for a while. They're 14.5 games clear of anybody. The Houston Rockets, shout out to them. I will put my hand up. I was very wrong. I thought that as the schedule would get tougher, that they would be at some risk. Here's the thing. They took care of their business in such a substantial, deliberate way against the bad teams that it didn't matter. I think I said that probably at the start of March or something. And then they went off and rolled off that crazy 10-game run where it was New Orleans, Orlando, Phoenix, Dallas without AD or Kyrie, Chicago, Philly, Orlando, Miami, where they just ripped off wins. And they didn't look great in all those games. Like they beat Chicago by 3. They went to overtime with Philly. They won by 4 against Miami. Like there were some tight ones in there, but it doesn't matter. Like they took care of business and they handled what they had to handle. So kudos to the Houston Rockets for absolutely taking care of business. And by the way, like Jalen Green was like the biggest reason why they took care of business in March. He was enormous. Now, again, against a lot of bad teams, we will see what happens. You know, I feel like Houston the last 2 years has gotten this crazy run of like playing bad teams in March, and it's really worked out for them. We're now going to get the biggest test for Jalen Green. Is like we're going to see him in the playoffs, and we're going to see where it goes.
He might be my most exciting player to watch in the first round of the playoffs, just in terms of, I talk all the time about data collection.
Mm-hmm.
I find myself getting like really positive when I watch Jalen Green in terms of like some of the nuance in the way he drives. Sometimes with the passing, I'm like, okay, now he's seeing it. And then it's like, okay, let's see what it is in a playoff. What decisions does he make when they put 2 on him? Does he make the right decision, or does he make a bad decision? Does he try to take bad shots and play hero ball? Like, I don't know. I don't have an answer, Sam. He's probably the player I'm most fascinated to watch just from an individual data collection perspective of anybody in the first round is Jalen Green. And you're right. Like, shout out to the Houston Rockets, because for me, it's a little bit like second in the West. Everybody wants to say the loaded West. So then you better give the Rockets credit for ending up 3 games up on anybody else with, 6 to go, 5 to go. It's an impressive season for them, and we'll see what it looks like in the playoffs.
Yep. Number 3, number 4, I would guess like even like 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, like this gets very hairy in a hurry.
Yeah.
So I think I feel good about the Lakers getting into the top 6. The Lakers are currently the 3. They are 46 and 29. Their schedule remaining: they have the Warriors, and they have Oklahoma City twice, and they have Houston in this range too. But I wonder if Houston, who by the way they just beat, ends up kind of being able to take a minute here and like get their guys like a little bit of rest in that second to last game. And then on top of it, they have New Orleans, they have Dallas, and they have Portland in that run. Portland maybe, like, I don't think they're going to have to be competitive in the play-in. Like, they're still theoretically in the mix. They're 3 games back of Sacramento in the 10 seed, but probably not going to have to be all that competitive. I think I feel good about them at least getting what realistically is probably going to have to be the 2 wins that they have to get to avoid the play-in, right?
Yep.
Because they are just like a couple games ahead. Denver is the 4. They're also, 17. They're like, 17 and a half games back of Oklahoma City. It's just like they have played 77 games, whereas the Lakers, I think, have played 75 so far.
Yep.
Denver has Golden State, Indiana, Sacramento, Memphis, Houston left. Like, all semi-dangerous games. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
not like, games that they will lose, but you can see a world where that swings one way or another. They are 2 games clear. Both Denver and the Lakers are 2 games clear of the Warriors. The Warriors have 7 games left in their year. They have the Lakers, Denver, Houston, and then they get into Phoenix, San Antonio, Portland, and then they have the Clippers. They are a half game ahead of Minnesota, the Clippers, and Memphis. Minnesota right now has the tiebreaker on the Clippers. They are the 6. They are currently playing Brooklyn. They are beating Brooklyn by 12. So you would expect they will beat Brooklyn. They have Philly. They have Milwaukee. They have Memphis all on the road. But then they have Brooklyn and Utah.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to guess that they are going to get to at least 48 wins. And we'll see what happens in those Milwaukee and Memphis games. I think they could run the table.
Yeah.
In theory.
That's a favorable schedule for them of all the ones you've said so far.
I think that they are probably the team of this like 5, 6, 7, 8 group that like should feel the safest about their schedule. The Clippers have Dallas, San Antonio, Houston, Sacramento, Golden State, all like, you know, not the hardest schedule, but like dangerous teams, especially the Houston game, obviously. The thing about the Clippers, though, is that they are 12-3 in their last 15 and are playing ridiculously well.
Yeah.
And then the Grizzlies are just going the other way. It feels like the Grizzlies are probably the one where we should feel good about the play-in.
Yeah.
They have Miami, Detroit, Charlotte, Minnesota, Denver, Dallas left. They are currently playing Miami. They are down 1 at halftime. This Miami game is like actually sneaky enormous for them. But I think I feel with the way that they're playing that they are probably going to end up in the play-in right now.
Yeah. I mean, based off my feeling on the Grizzlies as well, it's being in lockstep with you, based off the schedule you just said, my feeling would be that this kind of comes down to Golden State versus the Clippers for that final. Like I think Minnesota's going to stay in, even if it does end up being the 6. To me, it's like, does Golden State go on a little run here? Do the Clippers go on a little run here? You know, whatever it is, I think I would say that it's between those two for the final spot, even if it's not necessarily the actual 6 seed, but it's one of those two teams. Memphis ends up in 8. I think Dallas ends up in 9 because Sacramento does not seem to be great vibes right now either. Like, I mean, if I felt any better about Phoenix, I would consider Sacramento dropping out, but I don't know what to think about the Suns either. But yeah. I think that Timberwolves schedule seems very, very positive for them staying in the top 6 to me.
I think that's right. And I think at the end of the day, the 8 teams that are in the top 8 maybe save Memphis. Like Memphis is, you know, there is a risk factor here. I think with Memphis will be in the playoffs. Like I think that the Clippers, Minnesota, Golden State, Denver, LA will make the playoffs either via the play-in or the playoffs.
Agree.
I think the matchup that I would like to see most in the first round that like has a reasonable chance of happening, I think I would like to see Golden State and the Lakers.
Sure.
I think that would be really, really fun.
Yeah. Well,
I think those two teams would be great in the first round.
So I think what I would want, here's what I would want. I would want Minnesota to jump Golden State. And again, this isn't like I have no affiliation here. Minnesota, Denver, first round would be a blast to me.
Yeah. After last year, especially.
Yes. Golden State, LA, first round would be a blast to me. And for me, a Clippers Rockets first round would also be a blast.
Oh man, that's just like grind it out, grimy ass basketball.
Don't put this crap on ESPN or like put it on the NBA TV game, not necessarily the one you want to promote for like the casual fans, no disrespect, but I would be fascinated to the physicality of that series, to see what Jalen Green looked like against Chris Dunn, to see what Amin did to James Harden, to see what Zubac versus Alperen, like it would be fascinating. Like that's what I would want.
And the Kawhi factor.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, and I think that would be awesome. And then like the 8-1, I kind of wonder if Dallas goes ahead and I feel like Dallas is going to be very motivated, right? Like AD seems very motivated right now. They've got a little bit healthy. I think like Spencer Dinwiddie is going to give you enough to get you out of the play-in, you know, as at the guard position for them. And then, I mean, that would be fun for the Thunder. Like what have we talked about? Like you better get bigger. All right, well now here's the proof of concept in the first round against a front line of AD, Lively / Gafford as your first round opponent. Like, I don't think Dallas would be able to keep up on the perimeter, but like, okay, here's your Chet Hartenstein minutes and why you need to have that. Here's the matchup for that. To me, that would be the most enjoyable Western Conference first round matchups.
Yeah, I think I'm into it. I'm into all that. That'd be great. That'd be really, really fun.
Yep.
Okay. We wanted to do that because I think that like just where the standings are right now are incredibly interesting.
Yeah.
Like this has actually been like a really tight year, and the West particularly just has a chance to be like totally crazy.
Yes.
I feel like, and these games matter at the end of the year. Like sometimes we get situations where the games at the end don't matter. The play-in is kind of doing its job right now, especially in the Western Conference, where there are teams that are really going to have to fight and scratch and claw to avoid the play-in and potentially like have their season end very early. Memphis like needs to dig deep right now. Like they have to really figure out what's going on there. Maybe it's an off-season thing. Who knows? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get into the ideas that we started last week on Sunday, and we will finish today. We did worst off-season moves on Sunday. We ended up with Philly at number 1. We're going to do best off-season moves today. And I couldn't limit it to 5. There were actually 7 that I felt like I really needed to get into. I sent you off a list. I feel like that was a little bit longer, even honestly. Like I had, like the Clippers shoring up their defense with like Chris Dunn and Derek Jones Jr. Like that's been a big one. I had the Spurs getting a 2030 pick swap and a 2031 first for like the number 8 pick in a bad draft. I thought that was really good. And that continues to look even better. Like there were a bunch of stuff that I had, like a bunch of things that I had on here that I ended up not even putting on the top like 7 things.
Yeah, as I looked through just like the offseason moves, the Clippers one was one I definitely wanted to at least mention as like honorable mention or whatever. And then I kind of like Taurean Prince on a vet min for the Bucks is like a great pickup for them with the way he shot the ball. We kind of mentioned this with the Sixers. They actually did well on the margins, even though they didn't do well with the top of the roster with Yabusele and the draft and all of that. So just a few of those that I wanted to mention before we got into the top 7. Don't need to spend a lot of time on it, but the Clippers was the big one. After losing, I guess if you're going to criticize the Sixers for bringing in Paul George, I don't know if you give the Clippers love for not bringing back Paul George, but the moves they made on the margins to be this good defensively, I think should at least be noted.
And again, at the top here, we will note, to me, at least the way I define this, the Karl Anthony Towns move was in season. It happened after training camp started. I think that there had been a couple preseason games played as well at that point. So that's like in season to me. So like, if we don't mention the Knicks here, we will mention the Knicks in another respect. But like when we don't talk about the Cat move, just know that to me, that's an in-season move here. We mentioned that at the end of the last episode. We will mention it here as well. Okay. At number 7, I put Brooklyn getting 5 first-round picks plus 1 pick swap for Mikal Bridges. So to me, this is a positive for Brooklyn more than it is like a negative. We couldn't put Mikal on the negatives really for the Knicks, just because at the end of the day, like this team is drastically better. They're going to be a 50-win team. They've been incredibly fun this year. They've been one of, for 85% of the season, one of the 5 best teams in the league. I can't really like kill it for the Knicks side, especially because it got Jalen Brunson to sign like a very drastically below market deal to stay with the Knicks. But for Brooklyn, I think we can look at this and just be like, they did better than anybody should for a guy that is like a top 50 player in the league in Mikal Bridges. They got the Knicks 2025, 2027, 2029, and 2031 first round picks. They got a 2025 first from Milwaukee, and they got a 2028 swap with the Knicks for Mikal Bridges. That's a fantastic deal, however you slice it. Like, we can remove the Knicks and whether or not they should have done it. From Brooklyn's perspective, undeniably, this is a home run.
Yeah, I mean, especially when they were going into the rebuild and all of that, like to get this type of return from, like, what would Mikal Bridges be doing for you on this Nets team this season whenever they needed to finally really tear it down? So I agree with you. I think, when it happened, we thought it was a pretty good haul. We thought it was a lot. I know some people pushed back and said like, hey, those Knicks, this is where like first round picks not being created equal is very important. We actually got into that on, a recent episode where we're talking about, Ace Bailey and VJ Edgecombe in terms of knowing that you have the number 3 pick in this draft is way different than a 2027 first that could land anywhere, and you have no idea what that draft is going to look like in general. So there is still that perspective, but 5 first-round picks, a second round, a pick swap, all of that for Mikal Bridges, who, yeah, I mean, he's been good, 18 points on 50, 35, 80, but I think we both would say, not defensively what he was at one point in his career anyway. I think this is a really good return. I think this is one of those deals that I have to remind myself, I can't use this as the bar, right? Like every time a Mikal Bridges level player comes up in terms of being able to be traded, I can't go to this trade and say, hey, this is what the return should be, because this just seems like it's been way too much and it's an outlier. It shouldn't kind of set the standard or whatever.
Right. And you look at what these picks are actually going to be, right? I think that we both assume at the very least that the 2027 pick's going to be totally fine. Like that's a safe pick for the Knicks to give up. They have Jalen Brunson, they have Cat, like they're going to be totally fine.
Those guys are in their late 20s, not like they're in their early 30s already or something like that.
Absolutely right. The 2029 pick is like semi at risk to me, and the 2031 is just like a total, like that could go very poorly for the Knicks. It might go fine. Like we don't know that. Like we're 7 years out. It's very possible that they're still a very good team, that they have like, I really, here's the other thing why I couldn't get this a little bit higher. Like I actually trust Leon Rose as an executive. Like I think he's done a really good job since being in New York. And I think that they're probably going to be fairly competitive under his stewardship. So I couldn't really like crush it too hard, I guess. But at the same token, like Brooklyn getting all of this draft capital for Mikal Bridges, like if you would have told me that they had just gotten like 2025, 2027 and 2031, I'd be like, okay, like sure, cool, sounds good. But like having said that at the time, like I remember talking to you when the deal happened and in the weeks leading up to the deal that he was going to go for more than what people thought. Like he was going to go for at least like 3 to 4 first round picks. We said that literally. You can go back and like watch our reaction while we were doing like the final mock draft that we did of the 2024 cycle. Like I kind of said like, look, I think this is too much, but this was always going to be the number.
And I think the other thing that's going to be interesting with this is that maybe could push it higher for me, just strictly from the Brooklyn perspective, is what do they do with all their picks in this draft? Is there something creative they can do in terms of pushing? They have 4 first round picks right now. Like as it sits right now on Tankathon before everything else, 6, 17. Like that's what's kind of interesting. That Bucks pick has actually ended up way higher than that was actually owned by the Pistons at one time. And we were like, yeah, whatever. It's not going to be that big of a deal. And it's like, man, now it's ending up in the teens, which you never would have thought. But they have 6, 17, 26, 27. Do they package those in this draft to move up? Do they sell out of the first round and pick up future multiple seconds or some sort of first or a pick swap? Or like how they manipulate and maneuver these can also make this look even better. If they just simply take 4 first round picks there, I don't know that that's the best use of assets, but they put themselves in position with a flexibility and all of that to create long-term success with it as well, right? Like push it down the road. Like Sam Presti's been really good at this, it seems like. And so that's where they've set themselves up with this move also.
Well, and the deal that made that possible is actually the next deal on our list. So the Houston Rockets, best offseason move number 6. The Houston Rockets essentially do like pick swaps with the Brooklyn Nets to short the Phoenix Suns future. And the reason that Brooklyn had all of these picks from Phoenix was from the Kevin Durant deal.
Yep.
Right. So the structure of this deal was that Houston had Brooklyn's pick for this year, the 2025 first round pick. If Brooklyn was unable to get that pick back, they probably would not have tanked this year. They probably would have tried to be a bit competitive because there was no reason not to. So for Houston, you were probably looking at like a mid-lottery pick this year, if that was the case. So instead, they traded Brooklyn that pick. The Brooklyn Nets acquired their 2025 first round pick and their 2026 first round pick from the Houston Rockets in exchange for a 2025 first round pick swap where Houston's pick was able to be swapped for Phoenix's pick, the Phoenix Suns 2027 first round pick, and the rights to the two most favorable of Dallas, Phoenix, and Houston first round picks in 2029. So basically, in one trade, the Houston Rockets shorted the two teams that everybody wants to short right now in the Phoenix Suns and the Dallas Mavericks, only for the price of the 2025 first rounder, which for them, if they didn't move that pick, was probably not going to be all that valuable. And it was probably going to be a mid to late lottery pick. And look at where the Suns ended up anyway.
Yeah.
They ended up probably having and giving them a mid to late lottery pick.
Yeah. No,
this is like, from a process perspective, this might be the best deal on the list, like point blank.
It's really fun, right? Like I know it kind of you nerd out on it in the most positive way, but it's pick swaps and picks and futures and shorting and all of that. But it really is creative. Like this is the stuff that I give, front offices a lot of credit for, being able to construct these things, figure it out. And this is where you never know, right? Like you never know where a team is going to end up. What if New York ends up in the situation that Brooklyn just found themselves in, and now Brooklyn can do to New York what just happened to, you know what I mean? Like who knows what could happen. And that's why just acquiring these things down the road, and then Houston saying, hey, looks like Brooklyn's finally ready. Who can we short, right? Like you didn't just it was a very strategic. Now, does it not pay off? Who knows? Because I don't think like Ishbia is going to pay whatever he can, but this is where the new CBA comes in as well, right? You can't just pay your way. Eventually, like that becomes a hindrance. And so I think shorting the Suns under the new CBA was a really smart move for Houston. Will it pay off? We don't know. But already this year, I mean, that pick is already going to be. Do you think the pick Houston gets this year is better than what they would have got otherwise, right? Like we agree with that. About the same.
I think it's about the same.
Because we think if Brooklyn wasn't able to do all of this, they would have kept Bridges, they would have tried to win, and they would be
been like right around the play-in picture.
So,
like, yeah.
So essentially they ended up with the same pick this season, we think.
Yes.
With the shorting of those teams in the future.
Yes. It's absolutely brilliant. Like it's such smart work from them. Rafael Stone, everybody there who was involved, like should just take a bow. Like, not only did you short like multiple Phoenix picks, but you shorted a Dallas pick too, which like worked out way better than anybody expected at the time. And like, I'm sure even better than what they expected at the time. But now they have,
I don't know how
they have a 20 in 2029. They have both Dallas and Phoenix's first round pick.
With all due respect, I don't know how much credit we can give them for knowing that Luka Doncic was going to get that Dallas was going to decide to shorten. They were going to shorten their championship window. Even if Anthony Davis ends up being awesome, I don't know that we could have predicted that Dallas was going to try to shorten that window by trading a 25-year-old for a 31-year-old.
Totally crazy. Great work. Number 5, Deni Avdija gets traded on draft night to the Portland Trailblazers for Malcolm Brogdon and 2 first-round picks, one of which ended up being Bub Carrington. Let's ask this question right now.
Okay.
Would you rather have Deni Avdija or Mikal Bridges? I don't think this is all that hard.
You would go Deni?
I don't even think it's close. Given the contract value, I don't think it's
okay.
in the ballpark.
Yeah.
Deni has a 4-year. Deni has 3 years left.
Yeah.
At like $40 million. Mikal is going to have to get paid like substantially. Like Mikal's going to sign an extension this year for probably 30 million alone.
Yes.
Per
Okay.
season.
Sorry. Whenever I was just thinking as players, when you factor in the contract, then 100%, because you're getting 17, 7, and 4 on similar shooting splits, to be quite honest, from Deni on a descending. Sam, this is silly. This is the best contract in the NBA in a couple years, if not already, right?
We're going to figure that out. That's coming up. I think next week is when we do best contracts.
This man is under 12 million in 27-28. The MLE might be 18 million that year. He's going to be making the room exception that season.
I'm genuinely guessing they're going to have to find a way to renegotiate and extend that number up. Like it's a silly deal. Him being at 11.9 million in 2027-28 is just going to be completely crazy. Like you said, Deni is averaging 17.7 rebounds, 4 assists, shooting 48, 37, 77 from the field. The shooting numbers, like he's up the 3-point volume and he's basically kept it right status quo with what it was last year when he took the massive leap. I think just straight up, he's a drastically better player offensively than Mikal Bridges. I will just say that. I think he is a better player. His ability to physically power guys to the basket, to get to the rim and just like bully his way there is insane. Like he is a serious like transition, semi-transition, like dynamic player. I still probably do trust Mikal to make open catch and shoot threes at a higher level. Defensively, I think they're like
it's not as much.
It's not that far.
Not as much. I would say I would probably still go Mikal defensively. I think Deni has a little bit more like on-ball creation type stuff if you need that from your wing. But yeah, like to your point with the shooting, we now have almost 600 3-point attempts over the last 2 seasons, 37%, Sam. And this dude gets downhill over 5 free throw attempts per game on the year. Deni Avdija is really, really good. I think when you just say player to player, I think it's a fun conversation. To your point, when you add in the contract, it's just not even close because, as you said, Mikal's about to get the extension, and Deni might be the best contract in the NBA.
Bryce, having thought about this, like I think I would just take Deni over Mikal at this point.
I think it's a fun conversation. Like I think that is an absolute conversation. It would be interesting. I think
because like
I think
it's not like a
down to
situation
what you needed as a team, though. Like, does Deni make as much sense on the Knicks as Mikal makes on the Knicks? Take out the Villanova stuff. Like,
if he's shooting like this, yes, I think he does.
Okay, because
like
then
if he's
because then you do
actually, like Mikal Bridges, right? Last season, like we know what Mikal looks like on a bad team. Like we're not. This isn't a situation where we can't play like where it's apples to oranges. Like we can play apples to apples here. Like the Brooklyn Nets last year were a 32-50 team. Like they're going to be slightly worse than what Portland is this year. Mikal played every game. He averaged 19.6 points, 4.5 rebounds, 3.6 assists, shooting 43, 37, 82. Deni is going to be at like 17, 7, and 4, shooting 48, 37, 78. And like this stretch over his last 32 games where he's been 28 and 5 at 49, 38, 77 is better than any stretch from Mikal that we saw with him with the ball in his hands, in my opinion.
Well, and so I'll just say real quickly.
I don't know,
also,
man.
People's pitch always for Mikal is the games played too. Deni's been very available. The last 4 seasons, 82, 76, 75. He's played 70 this year. So like also a player who's been very available. If you look at the per 36 minutes, because Mikal played quite a few minutes per game, even in Brooklyn, it's actually even closer with the numbers whenever you look at per 36. So yeah. Okay.
But like, so the reason this is on this list is because Mikal Bridges got 5 first-round picks. Deni got 2, or the Wizards got 2 for Deni. This is a great trade by the Portland Trailblazers. And honestly, I think it might be one that saved their jobs. Like if they didn't get Deni and they went into the season like fairly young again, and they ended up losing God knows how many games they would have lost this year without Deni. Like this front office like might be in some trouble, I think. But because they did this deal, like they genuinely have kind of transformed what the organization is now moving forward with him and Kamara. They're less reliant on like Shaden and Scoot figuring their shit out. And like those guys might figure their shit out. I still have some faith in both of them. Like I'm not ruling those guys out by any stretch of the imagination here, but we know that Kamara and Deni can be good on winning teams now.
No,
like I feel great about that.
That's what I was going to say. Think about what that team ended up trading for potentially in their wing room with Toumani Camara and Deni Avdija. Just to complete the trade, the Wizards got Brogdon, which Carrington, 14th overall pick. The other first round pick is in 2029. It says the second most favorable from Portland. So they must have multiple must have had multiple that year. And then 2 second round picks as well, just to full clarification on the trade. But yeah, it was good when it happened. It's even better now because of how incredible he's been this season in terms of just getting better.
Totally agree. Number 4,
Hey.
The Detroit Pistons get shooters with Tobias Harris, Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr., and they go from Monty Williams to JB Bickerstaff. I almost put the Pistons on here twice. The first one being the shooters, the second one being the upgrade from Monty Williams to JB Bickerstaff. Do you remember the Monty Williams era, Bryce? That was a thing.
No. Was it?
That was the thing that happened.
It's funny when you're in the middle of stuff. I don't know that you always realize how bad it is until you come out of it and see a different perspective. It's honestly what's been great about me doing this, because when I was only doing the Pistons Pulse and Motor City Hoops, I watched other NBA teams, but for the most part, it was just Detroit. And then when they would play those teams, and I didn't get a great perspective of the entire league. So I didn't understand how bad of basketball I was watching. So now that I'm doing this with you and do have to keep track of all 30 teams as best as possible, it gives me that really good perspective. But even in the middle of that 14-win season, I just didn't I would talk about how questionable some of the coaching stuff was and how bad the vibes were and the energy and stuff like that. You just truly don't understand, right? It's like you don't understand how dark it is until you see the sun. That is the Detroit Pistons from last season to this season.
Oh, I was so much more aggressive than you were on the Monty Williams stuff last year. Like it like drove me out of my mind watching them. Like I would like hate watch them. I mean, seriously, like we did the show last year. Know that
when we talked about the Pistons, it was your decision, not my decision.
Correct. I was the one that was driving it. Like it was me that was hate watching this team. Like, cause I couldn't stop watching the impending car crash of his rotations and like decisions. It was crazy. Like this is truly right. The case against JB Bickerstaff as coach of the year this year is that Monty Williams was the worst coach of all time last year. I actually think that he was it was maybe the worst coaching performance I've seen in the NBA in a long time. It was terrible. He was starting Killian Hayes.
No, so here's the thing. That was bad. Watching what JB does this year. Like, do you know how many times I've typed out compliments to JB for simply subbing offense, defense at the end of quarters? That seems, I don't want to say elementary because you don't do that in elementary, but that's high school stuff, right? Like I would be pissed at myself if I missed an opportunity to do that as a high school coach. Monty never did it. He never did it. And so the fact I'm like highlighting that every time JB put Cade back in for the last 12 seconds for an offensive possession or put a SAR in defensively for the last 8 seconds of a defensive possession, I shouldn't be highlighting that. It should be just something that happens every single game. And it wasn't last season. I don't care how many game losing. Like the fact they were on a losing streak, it should have been happening even more. You should have been looking for every margin possible to just get a win and end that thing. I've tried to go softly with Monty. He's getting paid a lot of money. I know there was stuff going on in his personal life. And so like I try to give him a little bit of grace. He should, in my opinion, as from the out, he should have just never taken the job. Like
Correct.
It just.
But here's the issue. Tom Gore decided to pay him $75 million.
That's
so.
Yep.
Good for him.
Yes.
He got his money.
And that's the thing. And it just. Yes. And shout out for Tom Gores for eating all that money and realizing he made a mistake and getting somebody new in, and it's paid off.
Yeah. And the big thing here is like, what were we shouting from the rooftops for, many years? Surround Cade Cunningham with shooters. Give him a chance. Let's see what it is. And the minute you surround him with shooters, very obviously is like a real player, right? I mean, very obviously is an all NBA guy.
And the crazy thing is, this is like middle of the NBA at best 3-point shooting. Like they're 15th in percentage, they're 24th in rate. And quite honestly, Sam, Cade not almost always. Cade plays plenty of minutes with 2 non-shooters on the floor still. He starts Asar Thompson and Jalen Duren on the floor with him. The simple fact that Tim Hardaway Jr. and Tobias Harris have gravity, because Tobias isn't exactly shooting lights out. He just has gravity in the corner. Yep. He's at 34%. They get guarded. They get guarded. Hardaway Jr. is going to get guarded. Malik Beasley is having an elite 3-point shooting season in the NBA this year. Just that alone. But like they play Jalen Duren, Asar Thompson, Ron Holland, Isaiah Stewart. Guys, those aren't bad shooters. Those are non-shooters. You don't have to guard any one of those 4 guys with any substantial effort on the perimeter. And Cade's doing what he's doing just because that still is better than what they've done before this season.
100% right. So this was just, and honestly, like a move that maybe we should talk about. Hiring Trajan Langdon. Yeah. Like, he was the guy that made all of these choices, and they've all paid off.
Dennis Schroeder at the deadline. Again, if you go look at the raw numbers, doesn't look that great, but he got Schroeder for literally taking on 2nd-round picks because of cap space. And Schroeder's been exactly what this team needed with the Jaden Ivey injury and all of that. It's not playing out right now with Tobias, but before this, Trajan prioritized guys that spaced the floor and were available to play games. And Malik Beasley has played every game all year. Tim Hardaway Jr. is at like over 70 games. I think he's
at like 70 or so, yeah.
Tobias is at 70, even though he's going through this little thing right now. Schroeder, I think, has played every game since he's come over. Like, he put real vets on the court that were available to play, and it's paid off. And Ron Holland doesn't look like an awful pick right now. Like, we talked about him on our most rookie. Like, I think a lot of people question that draft pick. Like, obviously, he may not end up being that, but right now it doesn't look like an awful pick. We'll see in the next couple of years.
Best offseason moves number 3. Oklahoma City signs Isaiah Hartenstein, extends Aaron Wiggins and Isaiah Joe on very team-friendly deals, especially the Wiggins deal. I mean, my God, that's another one that is immediately, like, no question on the best contracts in the NBA list.
Yep.
Trades for Alex Caruso and creates basically an impossible defense. Like, this defense is so far and away the best defense in the league that it is almost like unfathomable right now. They have a 106.9 defensive rating. The second best team has a 109.7 defensive rating in Orlando. And like, Orlando plays a style of basketball that is like setting basketball back like at least 6 years. You
have to discredit the defense a little bit because the offense is so bad, right? Can we do that? Is that fair? It's like you're giving so little attention to the offensive end that we're gonna take you down like 3 spots.
It's just the pace,
no,
right? Like they play at such a slow pace, like it's pretty wild. And by the way, like Boston also plays at a slow pace too. Boston has a top 5 defense. If you look at the teams like that are in the top 5 defensively, there are like most of them play pretty slow basketball. The Magic, the Celtics, who's the other team here that has like a super, the Clippers, I believe also are like, slightly below average in pace. Yeah. The Clippers are 22nd in pace of play right now this season. Like the Minnesota Timberwolves are actually a little bit lower than that. The Timberwolves, I think right now are 24th in pace this season. The Warriors are good. Like they play up tempo basketball. The Cavs play very, very fast. They're good. The Pistons actually play quite fast as well.
They do.
And then the Miami Heat are dead last, and that's your top 10 in pace of play. The fact that Oklahoma City is doing this, they are fifth in pace of play right now. And they are currently 3 points per 100 possessions better than the second best team in the league defensively is batshit crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and like we had time missed from, Hartenstein's only played 54, Chet's only played 28, and they were still like, they didn't have a center at one point, like a true center. They were just like figuring it out. The sheer number of options I was thinking about this with Dort today. It's like, do you even go through the process of trying to switch him off your best player? Because, you're going to switch him off and get, Cason Wallace. You're going to switch him off and get J-Dub. It's like, it's not even worth doing it. You might as well just try to attack him, because whoever switches on to him, if you get Dort off, is still going to be a really good defender. Caruso, as you mentioned here, it's an incredible, like, acquiring this talent defensively is really, really impressive. Just like what they've put together. I watched them play Detroit Wednesday night, and I couldn't write enough notes about how much fun it was. They're so disruptive, Sam. And it's not just deflections. It's not just Dort's physicality. It is true steal numbers. It's true block numbers, all of that. Here's my thing. Does it get better in the playoffs? Because the playoffs only get more physical. And this is a team that will play you very physical. And if there's one, like, they are 25th in fouls, and they are, 25th in opponents' free throw attempts. They may get better defensively in the playoffs whenever the whistles get less, because that physicality is going to show up even more. So it's really impressive. I've loved Hartenstein for a few years now. So making the move, like, that was part of the Gordon Hayward move, right, Sam? Was it ended up not working out with Gordon Hayward. But if I'm not mistaken, I've talked to Schlecht about this, moving off those contracts did help open up this money that they used on Hartenstein to bring him in. So still ended up a pretty positive thing for them.
It's just crazy. Like, they are just so disruptive in every single thing that they do. Caruso is a huge part of that, obviously. Hartenstein now gives them the backbone as a rim protector to be able to get even more aggressive when he's on the court defensively, like with their on-ball guys like Dort, Caruso, Cason. Like, those guys can like really get into opposing players' shit, because even if they get beat, Hartenstein's there. Like, he's there to be the backline defender. And then a lot of the time Chet's there too. So you have two guys there that are on the back line. It's just really sick. Like, what they have built is so smart.
Aaron Wiggins' contract is descending and has a team option.
Yeah, it's correct. I was going to get to him next. I want to start with the defense, because the defense is just like unconscionably good. I think it's comparatively to what defenses have been like over the course of the past however many years. Like, if you look at the defense in the year that they played, Oklahoma City has like one of the 5 best defenses of the last like 25 years. And they are incredibly, incredibly good.
Yeah.
It is unbelievable. The Aaron Wiggins deal. The Joe deal is fine. Like, Isaiah Joe is probably worth a little bit more than what he's getting paid, right? The Aaron Wiggins deal is like, immediately, this is a no-brainer, one of the 5 best contracts in the NBA. Just point blank. And in part, it's because of how much better he has gotten this season. He has taken a big leap, especially lately prior to this like little injury he's going through. If you look at Wiggins's past 24 games prior to this little injury, 16 points, 4.5 rebounds, 2 assists, shooting 50, 43, 82. And yes, it's like a little bit of a hot stretch, but he has been insane. He has been absolutely ridiculous as an overall offensive player this season in taking the opportunities that he gets and scoring the basketball when he does.
He's the 4th leading scorer on their team for the whole season. Played 70 games, almost 23. He's 49, 39, 83 for the year. we just talked about the Deni thing. In 28-29, he's under $8 million. Also, I love looking at the Thunder's cap sheet because it's all red, because every one of these dudes has a team option at the end of their deals. Like Sam Presti is just like club option, like it's ridiculous. Honestly, the only deal that could potentially age a little bit is Caruso's, but the rest of this stuff is crazy. And to Aaron Wiggins, he's just been really, really good this year. Like you said, really improved, gotten better, taking advantage of the opportunity, however you want to say it. Really, really impressive season from him.
Number 2. Dyson Daniels and 2 first-round picks for Dejounte Murray. It was number 2 on our list on the other side, and it has to be number 2 here. The reason this is ahead of number 3, number 4, and number 5 to me is that in Deni's case, I think Deni is a bit of a better player right now than Dyson Daniels.
Sure.
But they gave up 2 firsts to get him, right? In the Pistons case, like they just used cap space, right? Like they did a great job. They figured out the best way to utilize their cap space. It's not necessarily a group that's locked in long-term,
correct,
though. Like it's short-term deals, smart short-term deals to keep their flexibility open, but nonetheless.
Yep.
Oklahoma City, like honestly, I debated them at 2 because they have Hartenstein for next year, but they're probably not going to be able to keep Hartenstein long-term, just given the way that the finances of their team work and given how good he is. Like next year or the year after is probably their last year of Hartenstein. They do have Wiggins long-term. They do have Joe long-term. They have Caruso long-term now, is what it is. Dyson, though, like Atlanta has him long-term, and they have these 2 first-round picks that are going to be like very, very valuable for them moving forward. And they got those 2 things for a player in Dejounte Murray that, look, I frankly I'm not as high on, I think is the key. Like I didn't love the deal for Atlanta when they traded all the pick capital to the Spurs. And we talked about it when it happened with the Pelicans. Like I didn't love this deal at the time for the Pelicans because I just didn't like the fit of Dejounte in New Orleans with Ingram, with Zion, with everybody there. So for Atlanta to move a guy who didn't really fit for a guy that has immediately broken out and who fits perfectly next to Trae Young, plus gets 2 first-round picks, they basically got a better player than the guy they traded, and they got 2 first-round picks to do it. This is a home run, and Dyson is exceptionally young and is a piece of the long-term deal.
Yeah, Dyson has been incredible. I've said this multiple times now. The defensive conversation is what it is, right? First team all defense. If you think he's in DPOY conversation, like, again, I'll listen to it. The way his disruption drives offense, the fit in terms of him being able to play off of Trae Young. I just like to always point out what he does offensively as well. And the year he's having there in terms of a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, averaging 14 a game on 49-35. His ability to cut off the ball, even like you just look at his corner 3-point shooting, he's at 45% this year. It's just, he's really developed into this perfect, I don't even want to, it's not 3-and-D wing, however you want to describe it. Cause he's definitely not just a shooter, but like an offensive plus to me. Like I watched him and I'm like, he's going to cut, he's going to get an offensive rebound. He can initiate offense at times. He can definitely attack on a second side. All of that stuff, along with the shooting continuing to grow, like we'll see where that ends up. I've just been really, really impressed with what he's done, not just defensively, but also his growth offensively. And then, as you point out, you get a 2027 that's going to be the least favorable of the Bucks and Pelicans. And then you get that Lakers pick this year, which, maybe they thought was going to be a little higher. I don't know, as those guys aged out, maybe they thought it's going to be in the 20s. But like you said, at the end of the day, you got assets to take on what's going to end up being the player that's more impactful for the team he ended up on.
Yeah, it's a home run of a move. Like this is such an important move from Landry Fields. And by the way, Landry Fields and that front office did a great job this past offseason getting Ricochet. I almost put Ricochet on here as a piece of their offseason as well. They just completely changed the identity of their team in such a real way where they were able to go out and get these long athletic wings to replace like DeJounte Murray. And like they could have taken Donovan Clingan or somebody at number 1, right? Instead, they go and get like a long athletic wing in Zach Ricochet.
Yep.
You pair him with Jalen Johnson, a pairing that you and I talked about at the time that we loved. We talked about it 2 weeks ago or last week on the show that we loved it. I just think that they've done such a good job of building this team around Trey, and they've set themselves up for the future to where, like, if they want to move off of Trey, you can go find another primary playmaker, and
That's
it
right.
might not be as good as Trey, but maybe it's, maybe you go out and find an even better one. I don't know, but like having long, athletic, defensive minded wings who can shoot, who can play make, who can do all these different things just gives you so much more flexibility long term. I really think that this front office has done like a fairly good job over the course of the last 12 months building out this team.
I just think they're in a situation, like you said, maybe Trey eventually wears out there, right? Like maybe you just feel like you need a change of scenery. You don't feel like you're going to win with him. I would feel like you have the infrastructure with that wing room to, like you said, okay, who's the next primary initiator then? Who are we going to bring? Even if it has to be a young guy, like maybe it ends up being somebody younger and they need to work into it. But okay, well, Jalen and Zach and Dyson can do some of the on-ball stuff while that person develops or whatever. I just think you have a really good position for whoever that primary initiator is, whether it's Trey or ends up being somebody else.
Yep. Number 1, the Cleveland Cavaliers hiring Kenny Atkinson. Just has completely revolutionized their offense. There's not another way to put it. Like, it has completely changed everything that they do on that end of the court. Under JB, like, they played a style that just was not, particularly up tempo. It felt like a lot of your turn, my turn kind of vibes to me. And now they play like this beautiful, fast-paced, free-flowing offense where they've empowered Evan Mobley a little bit more. And part of it that Evan's gotten better, certainly too. They have empowered Darius Garland in ball screens even more. And again, last year, part of it is that Darius hurt his jaw and was out for a long time. But you can't even just look at the structure of the offense and say it's even remotely close. Like, it's just so different. And it fits their players drastically better than what it did previously. Kenny Atkinson, to me, is the most important move of the year. They have gone from being a 48-win team to a team that is going to win at least 61 games, could get up to like 65 by the end of the year. And it is exceptionally hard to go from 48 to like 53 even. Hard to go from 48 to 55. They're going to like double and triple that win total improvement. It's crazy the level of difference this has made this season. This is a home run move.
Yeah, as you climb ranks, going to the next one is that much harder, right? Like making that 10% improvement whenever you're already at a certain point is just that much harder. And I think we should make sure it is that much more impressive to us doing what they've done. We've talked about this. I don't even think it's an indictment of JB Bickerstaff. Sometimes your coaching style, your coaching philosophy doesn't always gel. Sometimes your voice doesn't ring as true with players as maybe the next guy does. Maybe they weren't ready to hear that. Maybe it was simply the injuries. I don't know, but it's worked out for both teams. And in particular, it's definitely worked out for the Cavaliers in the regular season. And I'm fascinated to see what it looks like in the playoffs. But whatever happened to get these guys to play off of each other, especially Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, I'm always impressed when I watch those guys play. And it took probably some self-reflection and some tampering of the egos from those two. But I think the coach obviously plays into that as well. You mentioned just kind of the style of play, the pace, valuing three-pointers, whatever. But it's not just those guys, Sam. I've been saying it for months now. It's the guys off the bench. It seemed like
Totally.
They perfectly understand their roles and what they're supposed to do. And so across the board, it just seems like everybody gets it, understands it. And again, always want to give credit to the players, but I think coaches have a part of that as well. And so obviously Kenny and his staff deserve a lot of the credit.
Couldn't agree more. This is absolutely the thing that has like shifted the tenor of the season this year more than anything else to me, is them becoming like a real contender in the face of Oklahoma City, like way upgrading and shifting their stuff. And also like Boston just continuing to be like an absolute monster. Right. Yeah. There's now like a real 3-team race at the top. It feels like, where one of those 3 teams, you know, almost certainly will win. We could see another team surprise, like Golden State could surprise, I think, but maybe the Lakers could surprise. But like, this has made the Cavs a team worth reckoning with as a serious contender, and that's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, here's what I will say is we have to see it in the playoffs now, right? Like JB got him to the playoffs last year, but Kenny's obviously had a better regular season, and we'll see how it goes in the playoffs with this style in crunch times. Again, I'm mentioned it multiple times. I'm fascinated to see the rotational decisions. Is it Strus? Is it Hunter? Is it Dean Wade? Do you set one of the bigs if that's not working? Do you set one of the guards if that's not working? Like, there's all of these interesting decisions, and Kenny's just going to have to push the right buttons in the right moments against the right matchups. I have no reason to believe that he won't. It just will be really, really interesting to see how it plays out, especially if we get what I think would be an incredible Eastern Conference Finals between them and Boston. Like, it would just be so much fun.
Last couple of just, you know, surprise things, right? Or not surprise, like honorable mention things. JJ Redick's hiring has been great. Sure. That was one that like I strongly considered. That was probably the thing that finished 8th for me, was the Redick move with the Lakers. Been amazing for them. I understand that like people probably want like the Josh Giddey trade here for the Bulls, right? My whole thing with the Giddey deal was not this year. Like, I thought that Giddey would perform statistically well in Chicago. It's that you're going to have to pay Josh Giddey probably $30 million a year. And maybe he's worth that. Maybe he's not. Like, I think probably not, honestly. I think that there are just real limitations that he creates if he's your main player. But I don't know. Like, it's not a bad deal. Like, I did the podcast with Schlecht at the time. I was just like, yeah, like I would have done something different with the Caruso asset. Cause like, I probably wouldn't want to be the team that pays Giddey like a crazy amount. And I still feel that way. He's been great, but it's hard. Cause like, I want to respect how good Josh has been.
Yeah.
And he's been amazing. And I don't want to denigrate or downgrade that in any way. But it's March basketball, and I have like very real concerns on if he's good enough to be like a number 1 option on a team. I mean, like Oklahoma City, you know, just earlier this week, like it was ugly watching that game.
Yeah, it's funny. I find myself like wondering, okay, did I judge that too harsh at the time? But I still liked that the Thunder added Caruso. Was I too down on Giddey in the moment because he's putting up these crazy numbers? And then to your point, it's like, okay, can he be your primary guy? And it was like, was OKC just not the right spot anymore? Right? They like, you have SGA. Giddey's obviously best whenever he's on the ball. He wasn't going to get enough of those minutes. And so, okay, let's move him somewhere else. I'm kind of fascinated to see like how high can he take a team? What do you put around him to make it work? He's been really, really good. So good for Josh Giddey for figuring it out and playing well and having that season. But to your point, what does the contract end up being? And what does that look like moving forward? How do you build out this team around him? Because if you pay him $30 million a year, then that's part of your core. And so you have to start making those other decisions to amplify him and make that work around him. So we'll see. We'll see what it looks like, but he's obviously had a really productive season, if nothing else.
Yep. Last thing here, someone asked earlier, not to derail the discussion, but any thoughts on Ja Morant using a gun celebration tonight after his warning earlier? I thought that like this was one of those things that like the media made too big of a thing out of like earlier this week. I didn't really care, to be honest about it. Like I thought it was, like whatever, like we'll probably have too big of a microscope on John Morant or whatever. You know, we need to probably slow down with this and just let the dude like be who he is. But this is just like stupid now. Like this is just moronic to me, honestly, to do this. Like that the microscope is on you after this. I wouldn't mind the NBA suspending him just for being like flagrantly like throwing it in their face, honestly, at this point, because of how silly this is. Like I was fully on board with everybody like earlier this week. There was like, this is people melting down. Like it's John Morant, like people have a microscope on him. Other people around the league do the celebration all the time. I'm with that. Tonight is different because this is just like dumb. Like this is just dumb to me.
I'm with, like, I think it's unfair that they win at jaw whenever you see players doing it every night. In general, we don't need to go down this track. Like, I wish we could have a different celebration. Like, it's not my favorite post 3-point make celebration. Like it does, but what, like that's a different conversation. It just, him doing it again tonight, like you said, is just like, you're essentially giving the league the middle finger. And Sam, this was my point the other day when I tried to play counterpoint of, hey, why not run a ball screen centric offense that plays to Ja Morant? Has Ja given you the confidence over the last couple of years that you want to build your offense around him because he's always going to be available and be able to handle that? And we're not 2 weeks into a week into a new coach. And like, I don't know if he's going to get suspended off of this, but to your point, like I wouldn't be surprised, and not even because of like they just told you not to. You're just openly being defiant. And sometimes that's the most frustrating thing to me. Even if it was stupid, they ask you not to. So don't do it the very next game. It seems like open defiance and the middle finger to the NBA, which I guess if he wants to do that, great. Is this the hill you want to stand on? Like, because like, is this is what you want to like stand up to the league for? Is them not liking this celebration? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just like, it's just so immature to me. Like, like it's just this is just like such an immature decision to me that like it would make me almost go like, well, what are we doing here? Like, why is this what you're worried about, Ja? Like, why is this what you're concerned about? Like, you have to do the gun celebration in open defiance of the league because that's, I'm angry at the league or whatever. Like, why is that what you're focused on? It's kind of my, like, if I was like, within the Grizzlies front office, and by the way, that front office has supported him through like everything, like all of this through him. Like Zach Kleiman just made that crazy statement about like, oh, like people have speculated about Ja Morant being traded. That's all people for other teams. We are not trading Ja Morant, like point blank. Like, this is one of those moves where it's just like, this is so immature and silly that like it would have me momentarily questioning, like, is this the person I want being like the guy that is doing my being the leader of my organization or whatever, just because it's so flagrantly silly to me.
I mean, your team is in the middle of firing its coach and 3 or 4 game losing streak. You're on national TV. Like, it just seems, ridiculous. And if there's one thing the league has proven is once you have a reputation, punishments become hard. The light does get brighter on you. I've seen it play out with Isaiah Stewart right now. Like he barely did anything in the scuffle the other day. And he got 2 games when everybody else that like legit did stuff got 1. And it's solely because of his reputation. It just is what it is. And so I don't know. It's frustrating. I do understand him being frustrated that he's the one that gets singled out for it. He's also one of the players that has a little bit of history with this very specific topic. And so like, I don't know that I'm surprised that he's the one, but the NBA should like be sending a message to everybody then if they want to crack down on him. Like
I agree with that too. Yeah.
I understand the frustration. And again, I don't like this celebration in particular. Like I wish they could find something else, but I understand his frustration. I also think it's silly that he felt like he had to be openly defiant in the very next game on national television. Like that's how I feel.
It just feels so, and like, here's the thing. If the league does like fine him or suspend him, he's going to like do a thing where he, tweets about it or whatever and gets frustrated. And it's just like, dude, like this is one you brought on yourself. Like if he gets like before, if he would have gotten fined or suspended, like for this one, I'm actually glad the league didn't do that because I thought that it would have been too aggressive personally.
I agree.
If he gets fined or suspended, like after this, like he just has to look in the mirror and just be like, well, okay, that's cool. I just burned 50 grand or whatever it is.
I fine sits better with me, right? Like, okay, if here's our memo, we would prefer you didn't do it. And not to just him, I think it should go to everybody. If you feel the need to do it, then we're going to fine you. Like if it's so important for you to celebrate your makes with this, then we're going to fine you for it. I don't know that I love a suspension whenever so many players across the league are doing it. But fine would sit well with me, I think.
Well, and here's the bigger problem with this, right? This year, Ja Morant.
Yeah.
There are currently, according to Synergy, 47 players league-wide who have taken at least 10 ball screen possessions per game. Do you know where Ja Morant ranks among those 47 players in points per possession efficiency?
So I heard a stat the other day that took into account a larger sample size, and he wasn't that high. He was actually under 1 point per possession. So I'm going to guess 37th.
He is 30th.
Okay, so it's a little higher than I thought.
But here's the thing. He is a ball screen guard. Like that's where he lives. That's where he thrives. Who has not been all that efficient in ball screens.
Yep.
Right? Like that's the bigger issue here with Ja Morant. It's not about like it's not about the guns. It's not about like the celebrations or whatever. It's that when he's been in ball screens this year, hasn't really proven that like the offense should be built around the ball screen either.
To my point the other day, I found it hard to blame Taylor Jenkins for going, hey, maybe we should try something different. And it's not like their offensive rating sucked trying that something different.
Yeah. Like Dennis Schroeder in his 23 games with the Pistons has a higher point per possession mark in ball screens than Ja Morant does this year.
Yeah.
And those games with the Pistons have not been efficient.
And he's not playing with Desmond Bane. I can tell people that.
Or Jaren Jackson. Yeah. So
sneaky. Side note, Dennis Schroeder is so good on the baseline. Like, some people just have a knack for being able to like Steve Nash it. It's incredible. I haven't watched a Pistons player that was so good just operating on the baseline and being comfortable. Sorry. Side note. It's really interesting.
Yeah, no. Yeah, the Ja thing was just one of those things where like I saw it and I was like, this is just so silly. Like, what are we doing? Like, just stop bringing this on yourself at some point. Like the other stuff, like earlier this week, I didn't really think he brought it on himself. He was doing a celebration. Everybody else did.
100%.
Microscopes on him is what it is. This one he brought on himself. And you don't need to do that.
Yep.
So, okay. Bryce, tell the people where they can find your work. Tell the people what's going on.
Yeah, at Motor City Hoops on Twitter, on Blue Sky, Motor City Hoops Substack. Again, if your favorite team plays the Pistons, I have notes on them. If your favorite team ends up playing the Pistons in the playoffs, we'll have a lot of really good content over on the Substack. Pistons Pulse podcast. Again, if you want to check that out, me and Omari Sankofa the second. Otherwise, Game Theory podcast with the Sam Vecenie right here. Over 20,000 subscribers on the YouTube. Let's go.
That is true. We did surpass 20,000 subscribers on YouTube this week. Thank you all for hitting the subscribe button. We are growing quickly here. This thing is really, really taking off. And I appreciate you guys immensely for coming to hang out with Bryce and I. I did videos earlier this week on Zach Rissache and Tumani Kamara. Go watch those videos. I had a fun. I enjoy doing those videos so much, like just watching tape and kind of breaking down what we're seeing, what we're not seeing, things like that. The Rissache one was particularly fun because it was his 36-point game against the Bucks, and it was just like a clinic in off-ball movement and playing exceptionally well while getting limited touches on the ball. It was really, really fun. And then Tamani is just a guy that Bryce and I adore and we think is so fun to watch. So go watch both those videos. I will have more of them coming, as the playoffs especially get going. We will be doing, videos breaking down stuff all the time. I will probably go live most nights after the playoffs. Bryce will not join me for all of those, to be sure. Some of them will just be me breaking down some random film things I see. Some of them will be, maybe a little bit more complex than that, but we're going to have fun here during the playoffs. NBA draft stuff will come on this channel. I know that. It just will be a factor and matter of when it will come on this channel, but that's what we got here. Until next time, go to The Athletic, keep me employed over there. That'd be great too. We'll talk soon.